The Exorcist is a 1973 supernatural horror film directed by William Friedkin and written for the screen by William Peter Blatty, based on Blatty's 1971 novel of the same name. The film stars Ellen Burstyn, Max von Sydow, Lee J. Cobb, Kitty Winn, Jack MacGowran, Jason Miller and Linda Blair. It is the first installment in the Exorcist film series, and follows the demonic possession of 12-year-old Regan and her mother's attempt to rescue her through an exorcism conducted by two Catholic priests. Lancaster Marin, a retired Catholic priest, is currently working on an archaeological dig in Iraq's ancient city of Hadara. He discovers a sculpture that resembles Pazuzu, an ancient monster whose history Marin is familiar with, after being alerted by a co-worker. Marin soon finds a statue in the shape of Pazuzu towering over him after taking a small white pill, a portent foreshadowing a looming conflict. Meanwhile, Chris MacNeil, who is starring in a film directed by her friend and associate Burke Dennings, is living on site in Georgetown with her 12-year-old daughter Regan. Small abnormalities start to appear about the house around this time, such as scratching from the attic without a source. Regan begins acting suspiciously after playing with a Ouija board and contacting a supposedly imaginary acquaintance whom she calls Captain Howdy. Regan begins to act strangely, using vulgar language and displaying unusual strength. There is also poltergeist-like activity in the house at night. Regan shows up uninvited at Chris's party, informs one of the guests, an astronaut, that he will die up there, and then urinates on the floor. Regan's bed begins to tremble and float violently later that night. Chris visits a number of doctors and as Regan undergo a battery of diagnostic tests, but the doctors detect nothing wrong with her medically. Burke Dennings is babysitting a highly sedated Regan one night while Chris is gone. When Chris returns, he discovers Dennings has died after falling out of the window. Lieutenant William Kinderman is investigating Burke's death, which is thought to be an accident due to Burke's history of heavy drinking. Chris is interviewed by Kinderman. He also seeks the advice of psychiatrist Father Damien Karras, a Jesuit priest who is questioning his religion. The death of Karras' mother, which he blames on himself, triggers his religious crisis. The physicians advocate an exorcism because they believe Regan's abnormalities are primarily psychological in nature. Chris sets up a meeting with Karras, who, while hesitant to engage spiritually, agrees to speak with Regan at the very least. Karras and Regan put each other to the test as they come face to face. However, Karras is suspicious of anything supernatural happening. Chris is at a stumbling block and confides in Karras that Regan is the one who murdered Dennings, pleading with him to find a solution. Over the next several days, Karras watches Regan speaking backwards in various languages she doesn't understand, and scars spelling out "help me" appear on her stomach, persuading him that she is indeed possessed by a demon. He begs the church to let him execute an exorcism, but the church, believing Karras is outmatched, has Marin perform the exorcism with Karras assisting. The ceremony begins with a struggle of wills, with Regan doing a series of heinous and obscene acts. They try to banish the demon, but it clings to the spirit, claiming to be the devil himself. The spirit plays with the priest and then fixes on Karras, sensing his guilt over his mother's death. After the demon impersonates Karras' late mother, Marin excuses him and conducts the exorcism alone. Karras re-enters the room after regaining his strength to find Marin dead from a heart attack. The outraged Karras grabs a laughing Regan and wrestles her to the ground after failing to revive Marin. The devil leaves Regan's body and takes hold of Karras at Karras' permission. Karras, in a final act of bravery and self-sacrifice, pushes himself out the window before he can kill Regan, dying on a set of stone steps and finally slaying the demon. Father Dyer, a friend of Karras, arrives on the scene and performs Karras' death rites. Regan, now returned to her old self, prepares to fly to Los Angeles with her mother a few days later. Despite having no apparent remembrance of her possession, Regan is inspired to kiss Dyer on the cheek by the side of his clerical collar. Chris begs the driver to come to a halt as the car draws away, and she hands Father Dyer a medallion that belonged to Karras. Dyer stays at the top of the stone steps as they drive away to give Regan's window one last look before turning to walk away.